Both rulings are being widely considered victories for same-sex marriage supporters, despite the fact that the court could have gone further on Prop 8 and yet didn't, really only focusing on the impact in California. Do you agree that it was a victory for supporters of same-sex marriage on both rulings?
Oh, definitely. Absolutely. The DOMA ruling gives same-sex couples equal standing to their counterparts who are heterosexuals who are married in states that allow marriage. So absolutely, it's a victory. There are a couple of open questions that are presented because of the decision, though. One of them is whether or not, if you're married in a state that allows marriage, for instance, if you're married in New York but you move down to Texas, whether or not your marriage would be recognized by virtue of full faith and credit. Or will your marriage be recognized only on the federal level but not the state level? Or will it be recognized under both? So it's created some questions, but as far as the 13 states and the DC that permits marriage, it's clear, it's unequivocal, it's equal.
The specifics of what the ruling on DOMA entail, focus in one of the cases, or with the plaintiffs, focus on the estate tax or the death tax, depending on how you look at it. This is something that you've written about before. What will it mean for same-sex couples when it comes to that benefit and other federal benefits?
Well, for the planning part of it, the first and foremost thing that they will recognize is that they do not have to spend as much as they had to in the past to try to mimic or emulate the stereotypical husband and wife scenario on a financial level. So their legal fees are going to go down significantly. The second thing they're going to recognize is that they'll be able to take advantage of a lot of different tax opportunities that they hadn't been able to take advantage of in the past, such as gifting. Between a married couple, a federally recognized married couple, you can give a gift between a husband and a wife, and it could be an unlimited amount, and there would be no gift tax consequence at all. Prior to today's ruling, a same-sex couple couldn't do that. They were limited to the annual exclusion amount, which is $15,000. Now, because DOMA has been stricken, same-sex couples can give an unlimited amount of money to each other and not have to worry about filing, even just the mere process of filing a gift tax return. They're married, it's done. Nobody will look into their pockets.
The Secretary of Defense Hagel has already said that the military is going to start extending benefits to same-sex couples. That's one of the changes that today's ruling leads to. It will likely change the rules when it comes to same-sex couples where one of the partners is not a U.S. citizen in terms of coming into the United States and being able to apply for citizenship. What other changes are in store for same-sex couples, particularly in states like New York and Connecticut where it is legal?
Well, the first and foremost is the health insurance issues. In my own marriage, my wife had to pay an extra penalty to provide me with health insurance for our family. Now she won't have to pay that extra amount. We'll have the ability, if God forbid one of us goes before the other, and I guess one of us will, Social Security benefits will be able to be paid to the survivor of us. We don't have to worry about paying an estate tax on the first death anymore, like Edie had to do. There are a lot of federal benefits that we get that are, everything is just wide open. We could file federal income tax returns now in a joint manner, where before we weren't able to. It was actually quite difficult in states that allowed marriage, where we had to, in effect, create 3 different tax returns. One of the tax returns was a federal tax return that was supposedly a pro forma to file jointly. A second one was filing separately, which was actually filed. And then the state, we would file jointly. So it's like, now we don't have to do that. We could just file jointly on both the federal and the state level. It's terrific. Now we know for sure that people will be treated equally. That if, God forbid something happened to my brother, his wife would be taking care of him in the hospital. If something, God forbid, happened to me, my wife will be taking care of me in the hospital. It's the same. We'll have the same access, we'll have the same treatment, and we'll have the people who we love next to us. I mean, that's critical.
You know the plaintiffs in the DOMA case. You said that you had visited with them earlier, or with her earlier, and you'll be with her again later. What are you going to say to her? What have you said already? And what do you think that moment's going to be like?
I'll tell you something funny that Edie said. As she was getting into a car to go to her next appointment, she asked Allison, and Allison's my wife, she asked Allison and me, does the number 13 mean anything to you? And we kind of like looked at her, we're like, where is this coming from? She said 13 states and DC have marriage. 13 states, just like the 13 colonies. We're starting all over again. So I just thought that was a terrific comment about not only where we're starting, where we've been, where we are now, and where we're going, but also how she really recognizes where she is in terms of history. Like, she realizes that she is now a historical figure and a turning point for our entire American society. And I'm very grateful that I've had an opportunity to intersect my life with hers. She actually gave us a blessing at our wedding, so I thought that was really pretty cool.
Between her reaction and just absorbing the ruling from the Supreme Court today, what's your emotional state today? How are you doing?
I have been laughing and crying, and it's just been an emotional roller coaster, but all in a good way. I am just so happy that my clients, that my friends, that my community, that my society, and that America is really now beginning to realize that when you love someone, that shouldn't prohibit, or that shouldn't influence, who you love should not influence property rights. Property rights are property rights, and if you are willing to take this step and register as a married couple, then you have to take all the responsibilities that are involved with that, and you should also get all of the rights that are involved with that too. And now we have that.
And finally, for the 39 states where same-sex marriage is not allowed or has not been determined yet, what's your feeling in terms of how this impacts what will happen in those states?
I think in the next 3 years we'll have all the states. Even Texas.
Even Texas.